Welcome to the Think Before You Post podcast, where we talk about all things digital citizenship and anything else we find fun and entertaining or noteworthy on the internet. I am Christina Jantra, and you are?
And Therese Brandt.
And you are?
Paula Evans.
And just as you said your name,
the fire truck.
The fire truck goes by.
Or they're coming to arrest you.
It could be. Either way.
Yeah.
Okay. I just hope everything's okay.
Which we're not going to edit that out because you know what?
It happens. It's
It
life.
happens, and we're recording in the real world. So often I find that we talk about really heavy things on this podcast, and we talk about things that are at times dark. So for this episode, we're only talking about good things.
Yay!
Because there are good things
There are.
on the internet. So the first thing that I found was this article about a healthcare facility in Florida. It's called the Florida House Experience, which I think has such a nice...
It has a ring to it, doesn't it?
ring to it. So that it's a healthcare facility that focuses on, here we go, I'm going to try to say it again, behavioral
That was better.
health. That's a hard... Can you say-
Behavioral.
You don't struggle with it
No.
like I do.
It's okay. We still
Can you say it?
behavioral.
Okay. Yeah, you can. And mental health. So what they decided to do was try to normalize conversations about addiction and mental health. So they started the hashtag no more shame.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
And people posting on social media about their struggles. And really, I think this came at a time when we are talking more about mental health. I don't know as much about addiction, but I do know we're talking more about mental health online. And I think, the pandemic just did a number on all our mental health. And it also birthed, and maybe BetterHelp, that online
Yes,
therapy.
I agree.
Maybe it
Yeah.
existed before the pandemic, or they were able to spin it up really fast. But once people, realized they were struggling with their mental health, here came BetterHelp, and now you can do, you can meet with counselors online that you even don't have to do video. You can just do, talking. And so it made it more accessible. And I know for my own kids, I don't know if y'all have noticed it with yours, mine talk about it more.
Oh, absolutely.
There's no shame in, one of my kids is going to school to become a counselor. Both of my kids see therapists because their mental health really, that is a high priority for both of them.
And that's healthy for them to do.
And I
It's a
think a
healthy
lot
step.
talk about it.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that their mentality about it is very much like you have a primary care physician.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you have someone that you go to for your mental health as well?
Or you have a gym membership.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. That's all part of your holistic
But I think
health.
it's how we were raised. I mean, back when we were younger, you didn't talk about it. It was kind of taboo.
Right.
Now the stigma has gone away.
Mm-hmm.
It's part of normal conversation. But one thing I was going to bring up when we were in Indianapolis, and you ask a group of kids talking about isolation and pandemic, and they were on their devices all the time because they had school and then blah, blah, blah. They couldn't see people. So after, school, blah, blah, how did they interact? And they were like, yeah, we still interacted with our peers. And so she asked them, did you feel more isolated? Did you feel more connected because you were able to, connect with it? And they, without a doubt, all of them said we felt more isolated.
Wow. Okay.
That just shocked me. I mean, without hesitation. Yeah, they felt the need to... Like we asked them, when you leave, one of our sessions ended at 8:30 at night, and these kids had traveled all day to get to Indianapolis.
They were tired.
And then they had this one 75-minute session with me. And so
Lord
I asked
help us
them,
all.
when y'all go back to your hotel room, are you going to go check in with your people on social media? Everyone,
All of them.
except for the unicorn.
Yeah.
Every one of them said yes. And then I asked, how long? 2 hours.
Okay.
And that was an honest answer.
Yeah.
But even though they're going to do all of that, they don't feel as connected. They still feel lonely. They still feel it's not it's not filling up
that need that they have inside.
Yeah.
for this, for face
Yeah.
to face.
There's something to be said about
just-
face to face.
That fascinated me. Yeah, that has stuck with me.
I'm glad that this is going on. I'm glad that it's becoming more open and accessible to people, but also just that the stigma is being taken away.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and I noticed even here in our community, the schools are hiring licensed counselors finally.
the Lord,
and the school
finally.
counselor is not just someone who's going to give you a Kleenex or
A piece of candy.
Or help you with your schedule.
Exactly.
It's someone who's licensed and trained. We're going to start taking that seriously.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
It's
Okay,
about
we
time.
also ran across this awesome article. The title of it was True Stories, How Social Media Saved My Life. And I loved the genesis of this article. I read it again this morning just because I wanted to get the facts straight. So the person who wrote this article had a rough day. So she knew about a person through a friend of a friend, that's what we'll say, friend of a friend who had battled cancer for a couple of years. They had organized a charity auction or some kind of charity to raise money for this person's treatment. And then the person died. And 2 days later, the author of this article got an email celebrating how much money they had raised for this person's treatment. And she was like, but you don't even know she died 2 days ago. All that's not going to help her. And she was so just sad about it, understandably. So she took to Google. In your sadness,
Go to Google.
take to Google. And she Googled how social media saved my life. And she wrote an article highlighting a handful of people. And one of them was a guy named Chris who suddenly found himself needing a kidney. Just devastating. Anyway, he took to Facebook and said, well, I saw, and they had a screenshot of what he put on Twitter. I can't say
We can't repeat it.
Can't repeat it, or we get an explicit rating. But he said essentially, "Oh crap, I need a kidney." 19 people responded,
That's incredible.
and Chris got a kidney, which reminded us of our friend.
We have a friend. We all have a friend, Tim.
We all have friends.
We all have friends, but we all have one mutual friend, Tim, who was on Facebook. And he basically saw a social media post that said, I have a friend who needs a kidney. Anybody have one? And he was like, wow, I could donate a kidney, and then scrolled on. But then he said he kept seeing things like that about kidney donations to where so much that he was prompted to get in touch. And long story short, Tim donated a kidney to a complete stranger. Now they're friends. But it was because of a social media post.
Yeah.
And what astounds me is Tim, at the time he decided to do it, wasn't healthy enough
Right.
to do it.
Right.
And so, I mean, he went all in.
And part of that was bicycling.
Yeah.
He started cycling, and now he's traveling.
Yeah, he
cycling.
just did the Ragbri, I think that's how you pronounce it, the ride across Iowa just last week.
Yeah, good for him.
And he gave his kidney to a lady who lives she was a
That's
neighbor
the
that
best
never
part.
met.
I was waiting for y'all to pull that out there somewhere.
That never met.
The neighbor he had never met, just a few doors down. But it was social media
That brought them
connected
together.
that brought them together. And there were a number of stories. Oh, there was the woman whose child was sick.
Oh,
there was
yeah.
something wrong. The child was sick. She takes him to the doctor. Doctor says, you're good. It's nothing.
Like a
Sends him home.
virus. It's
Yeah.
A few more days later, he's just getting worse. Takes the doctor again. No, you're good. Go home. 3 times. And the mom's like, no. She posts about it on Facebook. Was it 3 of her friends?
I think it was 3 of her friends.
3 of her friends said, hey, not to be dramatic or anything, but you need to take your kid to the ER.
Now.
Everything you've explained in that picture says to me, and I have experience with it, your kid might have Kawasaki disease, which is a left untreated
fatal.
can be fatal.
Mm-hmm.
She goes in. Now, how would you feel to be that mom who goes into the ER?
I know what you said, but my friends on Facebook said,
I know you have the medical
mean,
degree,
God.
but
Way to go, mom.
yeah.
And the kid had Kawasaki
Yeah.
disease.
Mhm.
and was able to get treatment.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Yeah.
And way to go, friends, for speaking up.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
hesitate.
No, I was wondering if I would have.
If you would have, for fear that you would be wrong.
Maybe.
Mm. Yeah.
Or I would think you don't have a medical
Yeah.
you know.
But if you had experience, I think that was the thing. If you'd had experience with this, then you would have recognized.
Yeah.
I think so.
And you
I
would have
hope
said
so.
something.
I think you would have.
I think you
Yeah.
would have.
Okay. Y'all think I'm a better person than I am.
Yeah, you are.
I really don't. I think you're horrible. But
Well,
go
see,
on.
I do.
Okay. Thank you, Paula.
You're welcome.
Can we bring up Humans of New York?
Yeah, that's a good one.
If you don't have Instagram, get Instagram or Facebook because you can watch it on both. But there's an account called Humans of New York. There's also a table
Table talk.
coffee table book. Wow, that was hard. A coffee table book that they have. The Humans of New York. So there's this photographer who goes around New York and he takes pictures of people and he has conversation and he gets their stories. Well, last month, I think it was, he started doing more long form stories. So he found this woman, Deetra, and he did 15 stories, 15 segments to tell her story. I'm not even going to,
It was incredible. It was great.
I can't even touch it in a brief way. Just trust me. Go read Deetra's story or follow her on Instagram at OneWomanNYC and the number 1. But Deetra, it's an incredible story. She was a Baptist preacher's wife in Arkansas. She ended up being single and homeless in New York. You find out how she made that trip. How was that?
That was awesome.
That was awesome.
Perfect.
But the beauty of the Humans of New York is exposing us to people's story. It builds empathy in a way that there's something about seeing their faces and reading their stories.
And it makes you stop and think when you see someone passing you down the street.
What's their story?
It makes you
story?
wonder what's
Yeah.
their story.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Last thing we'll look at is this article, the surprising way your teens benefit from social media. And look, I have a problem with this conversation of the benefits of it on our teens because it's such a fine line. It's such a fine line. But there was one line from this article, and we'll link the article in the show notes, but there was one line that just, I think, caused all of us to pause, and it was this: research has shown that having at least one solid friendship can go a long way in preventing bullying. Now, bullying is happening at record rates. Face-to-face bullying still happens, but cyberbullying happens at alarming rates and has devastating effects on kids, on their mental health. And so the idea that one good solid friendship can prevent it just makes me go, hey, moms and dads, can you please, when you have littles, can you please facilitate play dates? Can you make the effort to invite kids over? Take them to church, to Sunday school. Do whatever you can. Get them involved in gymnastics or in soccer. Something that's going to get them off a screen. Because what did we learn in that last episode? Extended use.
Oh, yeah. It's detrimental.
They're not.
It thins your brain something.
And you don't learn those social skills. So one good friend, that's all they need. They don't need a tribe, a pack.
No, they don't.
They need one good one.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Were those good
That's good.
stories.
Those
from the
they were great
internet.
stories.
All right. Now, for more good from the internet, and Therese.
Okay.
It's your
This was a
turn.
sweet story. So this little boy, 12-year-old Brody Ritter, he was a victim of bullying at his Colorado school. And I don't know, back in the day, it was very common where we would have all of our friends sign our yearbooks. You know, when you got yearbook. Well, apparently that is still happening in some schools, and that was happening at his school. And he went around and wanted kids to sign his yearbook, and no one would sign his yearbook. He could only get 2 teachers. I know it makes me sad. I'm going to try not to get choked up. Yeah. So he was a victim of bullying all through school. He could only get 2 teachers that would sign his yearbook. Nobody would sign it. They refused. So his mom took a look at his yearbook, and she looked through it to look for signatures, and she saw the only note that was in there was the one he wrote to himself, which said, "Hope you make some more friends."
That's heartbreaking.
I know. And so it just broke her heart. So it prompted her to put a message on the school parent Facebook page and just encourage parents to teach their kids kindness and empathy, and to let them know, if you see your child being mean to another kid, please step in and say something, do something to put a stop to it. Don't just let this, just ignore it as like kids will be kids, kind of a thing.
I hate that phrase.
I do too. So she also then posted this experience with her son to her personal Facebook page. And all this, it just went viral, and all the support poured in for her and for her son. And it actually spread all the way to Paul Rudd.
Oh, wow.
The actor Paul Rudd. So he FaceTimed this
That
little boy,
gives
Brody.
me chills.
FaceTimed him, sent him a personal note of encouragement, wrote him a note, told him, "You're you're a great guy. I'm glad we're friends." And
sweet.
then sent him his Ant-Man helmet,
cool.
a personalized copy of Ant-Man.
Oh my gosh.
Helmet.
Awesome.
And anyway, so then what happened is he ended up going back to school, and because these older kids who had no idea that this was happening to this younger classman, all these older classmen, upperclassmen came in, and they were all making a big deal. They are all signing his yearbook and just building him up and lifting him up. And just, we see you.
Yeah.
We see you.
People just want to be seen.
We see you. And we didn't know that you were going through this. So anyway, that was just really special. It was really special, and just shining a light on something. And I'm with you. I hate that idea of just kids will be kids, and the idea of, that it happens to everybody and happened to me too. And I got over it. And that's not the point. The point is not that, it happens and it happened to me. I was bullied in school and I ended up being just fine, and it builds character and all this. Well, it doesn't have to be that way.
There's plenty in life that will knock you down to build character. Teach your kid to be kind.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
So anyway, I love that
story.
Yeah, I thought that was really sweet.
And you know, those school Facebook groups aren't always the most positive places on Facebook. So way to go, Mom, for using it well.
Yep.
All right, Paula.
Well, I don't know if y'all are going to think this is a stupid idea or not. I have my opinion. There was a gentleman who decided to create a new kind of watch, but he didn't want it to tell time. He wanted it to be entertaining. And so it's a watch that is magnetic, and it's just little rubber duckies. And you can play with the little ducks on your watch that doesn't tell time. And you can buy it for a mere $62.
$62.
I don't know what y'all think. Is that a stupid idea?
Can you call something a watch? Is that not fraudulent?
To call it a watch that doesn't tell time?
Yeah.
It'd be like a play bracelet.
Why is it not called a bracelet?
I do not know.
It should be called a bracelet.
Okay, it's a stupid idea.
That's a stupid idea.
Thank you, I agree.
And you know what's even stupider? People that buy it.
That pay $62 for it.
But you can find it on Etsy if you're interested.
There you go.
We'll even
Check
link
it
to it
out.
in the show notes.
Oh, no, we won't.
And that does it for this episode of the Think Before You Post podcast. We were very positive this time.
I really liked this one.
That was
Positively
good.
positive.
So because we're positive, we'll ask you to, 1, subscribe if you haven't already.
Yeah.
And go to Apple and give us a rating. We'd like 5 stars. Nothing lower because we're sensitive people. And because we've been positive this time. So thank you for
Positive
joining us,
affirmations.
and we'll see you next time.